Welcome, Braith. I'm very excited to have you as a guest on the podcast. How are you today?
I'm so looking forward to being on your show, Connie. You are just a ball of energy, and I've been really looking forward to hanging out with you on your show. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, I was looking forward too because you promised that you are fun. So I love to have fun. Yeah.
Oh, no pressure.
Yeah, no pressure, no. That's the only reason why you're here. No, come on. So tell my audience, where in the world are you located? And then also one thing about you that has nothing to do with what we're talking about afterwards, like maybe something quirky about you or whatever you want to share.
Well, I'm very lucky in that I have two places. I'm in Australia. I live in Australia, for those that can't tell from my accent. So I have a place in Melbourne, which is the bottom of the mainland of Australia. And at the moment, I'm in my place in Queensland, which is in Palm Cove, which is quite up the top. It's near Cairns. It's the Great Barrier Reef, so it's tropical. As we were talking before, I've got the rainforest in my backyard. I showed Connie a picture of a little wallaby that came into my backyard this morning with a little joey in its pouch. So it's a beautiful place to live. So what's one quirky thing that people don't know about me? I actually got snapped in Auckland Airport when I had a summer holiday job from university. I literally tripped over when Tina Turner was coming past, and I fell and I grabbed her as I was falling, and the Auckland Herald took a photograph of me falling into Tina Turner and said, "Crazed fans attack Tina Turner at Auckland Airport." It was on the front page. So
oh, you're a celebrity.
Well,
Okay.
no, I'm the crazed fan, not the celebrity. But yes, that's my brush with fame. And I love Tina Turner in the 80s. Well, I still love her now. It's sad that she's no longer with us, but I love to share that story because it is my brush with fame, literally and figuratively.
Oh, that's really cool. And you know, Tina Turner, she lived in Zurich many, many years, or just
Ah,
outside
yes.
Zurich. And I
Yeah.
also just grew up and lived just outside Zurich. So,
Did you
and
ever see her?
I went and saw her on a concert, and I was young
Uh,
enough that we were like camp in front of the entrance door to wait until the door
uh,
opened, and then we ran to the front so we could be in the first row. And I actually
oh,
was in the
wonderful.
first row.
Oh,
And
fabulous.
back then, I don't know whether you remember, they always said that she has the most beautiful legs,
Ah,
or
yes, I
whatever.
did, didn't
And
I?
so I
Yeah.
still remember I'm standing there, and we're all saying, "Yeah, yeah, she really has beautiful legs."
Yeah, no, she was certainly an amazing performer. I've seen her in concert several times. She certainly was extraordinary, and I think from all that I can tell about her and I've seen about her, she seemed like she was a beautiful human being. So I'm very
Yeah.
sad.
Yeah, so what I heard is after she stopped giving concerts, she was very involved in Switzerland, like with teaching children singing, and
Ah,
she was also involved with some Tibetan lady, and they did I think yoga and chanting or whatever. So yeah. And
cool.
and she always said she loved living in Switzerland because she could go grocery shopping without anybody bugging her. And you
Ah.
literally could go into a grocery store and meet Tina Turner if you were lucky, because she would go
Yeah,
there and grocery shop. So, yeah, I
cool.
think she was
Well,
a very beautiful person. Unfortunately, she is not with us anymore, but her music will live on. So,
always.
yeah. So then, from falling for Tina Turner, how, give us the short version. How did you end up becoming an expert in marketing, writing a book, being a
Uh,
certified coach,
oh my
living
goodness.
living in two places with rainforests in the back and oceans in the front?
Well, let me take you back to the 80s. You're probably too young to remember the 80s, but
Oh,
I was
yeah,
being,
right.
you just take the compliment, Connie. So in the 1980s, in 1987, and Australia was just becoming a mature country at that point in time. And in 1988, we had a bicentennial, and there was a lot of building going on in Australia. So there was a lot of construction and a lot of new stuff happening in the country. And I had gotten a job in 1987 working for a company that sold commercial textiles, and they were selling them to interior designers and architects. So there was a lot of work on, and the woman that owned the business, I don't know why she hired me, Connie, but she liked me and she took me under her wing. And she said to me, Braith, if you want to succeed in this business, you need to learn how to network. And I didn't know what that word meant. So I
Yeah.
said, Judith, what does that mean? And she spent the next few years mentoring me and teaching me how to build a network and to generate business through referral. And the one lesson that she really taught me well was, to be successful, you need to want to help other people, and you need to want to give to other people and expect nothing in return. But the universe has an amazing way of helping those that help others. So the more you give, the more you seem to get back. I don't know if you've ever done any volunteer work, but when you do that, you always seem to get more back than you give. It's like this never-ending flow of gratitude that comes back to you. So I learned that, and all of the business stuff that I've had throughout my life, I've always had that understanding that to get, I need to give first. So when I had team members, I always used to help them to be successful, and ultimately I became very successful. And years later, I ended up buying the BNI franchise in Melbourne Central, and I've worked with thousands of business owners in that, and really seen what it takes to be successful as a business owner. And along the way, I did a master's in marketing, and I learned how to be a really cool marketer. And I've just finished judging the Australian Marketing Institute Awards, which have been really cool. So it's been a really interesting exercise. It was so much fun to see what people are doing. So that's a little bit about me, Connie. That was the abridged version.
Yeah, sounds great. So networking is really funny because I was in Switzerland and way into my 30s before I came to Canada, and I never heard of networking either. So that seems to be some English-speaking thing. I mean, they do to a degree network in Switzerland, but nothing like what happens here in North America, for example, and how it sounds like in Australia, although it may have changed now because I'm not in Switzerland that much anymore.
Well, BNI is very big in Switzerland, so there's a lot of members in Switzerland. I know that. So BNI is a global organization, and it is in Switzerland. But I think people, really, it's just a way of teaching people how to build trust, because trust is the cornerstone of business, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you build trust with people, and you teach them the sort of business that you want, if people trust each other, then they're willing to open up their networks to help them get business. And if you really want to see other people succeed, then helping them succeed is the best way to help yourself. And during COVID, I used to say to the members of BNI, if you're having a bad day, do something good for somebody else, because it will make you feel better, and it just does.
Yeah. They say the same, because you said before that if you're giving, then it comes back to you. But I also heard, and actually just had a guest on my podcast, the episode isn't published yet, but she said too that I think they even have now scientific, they try to prove everything scientifically now, but they say that in you, if you give, and if you genuinely give, not out of obligation, but you genuinely give, that's actually you're receiving already by giving, because it makes you feel good. As humans, we're born to give in a way. So I think,
I'm not sure which particular study she's talking about, but I suspect where it's going is that when you help other people, it's we release a lot of chemicals into our own body when we do good things for other people. So you actually lifting yourself up, and from a metaphysics point of view, you're opening up your heart, and then you have opportunity, and it's just this spiral of success. And the more you do for other people, the more it seems to come back for you. And if anyone's doubtful, just go and try it and see for yourself.
Yeah, it's just, I feel like sometimes, because we're lately, I mean, I hear it everywhere that especially in the online world, to get clients, you have to give, no? And then I'm thinking a lot of people may just like use it as a task and check it off, right? And then it doesn't come from the heart, no? And then it's not really working. I'm just saying that too, because like I have people that want to come on the podcast, and then I never hear ever another word, right? It's like,
Right.
it's just another task. You need to be on a podcast, you need to give value. And then they do that, but then they just like,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, check. And then,
But those people are always, and I know the people, that type of person you're talking about, they want to tick that box, but they're always on this treadmill and they never
mm-hmm,
seem to get ahead. And I work with a lot of those people. We have members who are like that, and they say to me, "Oh, why aren't I being successful?" And I say, because you're not being genuine, and people can
mm-hmm,
tell. Because as human beings, we can tell when
yeah,
people are genuine. Like when we first met, we could tell we liked each other straight away because we were both the real deal. And I really enjoyed talking to you. We had fun, we had a laugh, we had a connection. Remember, I was sitting in my car outside a meeting. I had my little phone on, and we were laughing. And
yeah,
and that is the basis for human connection. And you could tell, hopefully, you could tell that I was genuine. I was interested in you, and I wanted to do the right thing by you and your show, and I wanted to make sure I was a great guest for you. And when you come with that, people feel it and they react accordingly. Because if people aren't the real deal, you kind of hold them at arm's length, right? We all have that in our lives. People come to us and go, "There's something not right about him or her. I don't know, but I'm just not going to engage with them." So you're missing opportunity by not being real.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, and you say that helping people is kind of like becoming connected in a disconnected world. Is that, do
Yeah,
I understand this right? Like, so if we
yeah,
want to attract the right people to us, or whether that's then for referral partners or maybe clients,
yeah,
of course, it helps if we're genuine and we want to help,
yeah.
and that then creates a connection. Or do I miss something? I think I heard you say on a different episode or from somebody else's podcast that you have some kind of like a triangle framework with trust and
Yeah. So I talk about really understanding where you are in your business and your life. I mean, it doesn't matter whether it's your business or your personal life. You know, you really need to understand your purpose. So I have a triangle model that I created, and at the top is purpose. And that's, if you think of it, it's like the business objective. Where are you going in your business? So that's your purpose. And then to the left side of that is intention. And that's really like your mission. Where are you taking your business? Where are you taking yourself? And on the right side is connection. And connection really is about your values. So when you understand your vision, your mission, and your values really well, it helps you to navigate through life so you can make decisions really easily. Because if a situation comes to you and you need to make a decision, you put it through that lens. Does that fit with my vision? Is this on mission? And does it align to my values? And if it's no to any one of those, it's really simple. It's no to everything. And then
mm-hmm,
you don't have that disconnection or that feeling of dis-ease, which ends up being disease in our lives. But
yeah,
if
yeah,
you're in alignment, then everything flows and works really well. So you put it through that triangle model,
mm-hmm,
everything is easy to do or easy not to do.
yeah, yeah. I call it, it takes away the mental clutter, right? Because you kind of
Yeah,
have a guideline or a
yeah,
framework, and if it
yeah,
doesn't fit in there, then it's not even worth
yeah.
agonizing over it, right? So
100%. But so many people simply don't have those things worked out in their life. And when problems come to us all the time. We can't get rid of problems. That's the human condition,
no,
right? So that's what we're here to solve problems, right? So if you're in business, your business exists simply to solve somebody else's problem, right? That's the purpose of your business. But if you understand what is your driver and what you really stand for, then if that person's not right for you or that company's not right for you, it's easy to say no. Whereas if you don't have all of that sorted out, people can say yes to stuff that isn't appropriate for them. And when people are doing stuff that doesn't make them happy or it isn't aligned to what is right for them, they're never, life's too short to be unhappy, right?
yeah.
You don't need so, but the world is abundant and there's so many opportunities. And no matter what your vision, mission, and values are, there's somebody out there that wants to come along on your journey with you.
Hmm. Yeah. I agree, Brave, but I
Mm,
think like sometimes if we're a little bit, especially financially maybe, or we don't have enough clients or so, we're a little bit in a hard
yep.
spot. I think sometimes we're tempted to overrule our values or
Yeah.
our
Yeah.
to take on that client, even though I mean, I have done it in the
Yeah.
past, even though we have it in the gut, right? That
Yeah.
probably not, but we kind of only see
Yep.
the benefit, or we see that we need the client maybe, and so it's
Yeah.
easily happen. I don't know whether you have a solution for that since you're
Well,
not.
no, I don't, because here's the thing: we're humans and we live in a human condition.
Yeah,
We don't always get it right.
yeah,
But
yeah.
if you look in that very scenario, you've taken on a client that you knew wasn't right for you. I'm sure you served them to the best of your capacity. But what would you have learned from that? You would have learned taking that on wasn't really good for me. You might have needed maybe it was the money you needed at the time, or you had the time you wanted to fill in, whatever was your reasoning. Ultimately, what you would have realized was it wasn't worth it. It was not
Yeah,
worth it. So it would have
yeah.
been a better decision to have said no. And then what happens when you get to say no to things that aren't right to you? The universe has a really miraculous way of bringing stuff that is right for you, because
Hmm.
the clearer you are about what it is that you want in your business and your life, the easier it is for you to attract that stuff. And
Yeah.
I see it all the time when I'm in BNI, but when I give keynotes and I say to people this very subject, they come up to me afterwards and they often say, how many times I've said this, and they say, when I started being really clear about what I want, it started coming to me. And the clearer I got, the more it came to me. And people are kind of almost a bit embarrassed to say it. So they sort of
Hmm.
come up to me afterwards and say, I just want to tell you. And it's like, and it's great, because when we are that specific and we are that clear, we do attract more stuff that's right for us. But if we sit down and look at what we want and really frame it up using the vision, mission, and values, it becomes so much easier to have that compass and to really look at where you're investing your energies, and are you attracting those people appropriately?
Hmm. Hmm. So I read somewhere, I think it was in your bio, that you're merging corporate and small business know-how. And I
Yeah.
wanted to know a little bit about, like, because big businesses or corporations are not really known for networking, giving, and all that thing. So, uh, but I kind of liked it because I come from the corporate world. I sure do that in finance or in organization. I try to merge the know-how and get it together and help people that have just little tiny micro businesses to actually be a pro and do it in a
Yeah.
pro way, right?
Yeah.
So it was that sentence caught my eye. So I wanted to know what corporate and small business know how you're merging.
Yeah. Well, look, thank you for asking that question. One of the things that the corporate world does very well, and I probably have spent half my life in corporate and half my life in small business. I love being in small business, but in corporate, what I learned was you, you have to have a plan. If you don't
Mm-hmm.
have a plan, you're not going to get where you want. And sitting alongside that plan is accountability. And if you're not accountable in a corporate environment, you will simply not succeed. So you have to be accountable to those around you. You have to be accountable to the people that report to you. You have to be accountable to the business owners. If it's shareholders, whatever, there's accountability. And I see so often people go out into small or micro businesses and they go, oh, well, I don't want to have a boss. But ultimately, you have to be accountable to somebody.
Yeah.
And whether it's your clients or yourself,
Yeah.
when you have that accountability,
Mm-hmm.
it's easier. And too often, small business people don't want that, but it's the thing that they need the most,
Yeah.
because it gives you a map towards success. And that's what corporate does really well. Sometimes a little too well, and
Yeah.
sometimes a little bit too soulless, but you always need a plan, and you need to be able to articulate why you're taking your part of the business on that journey. And small businesses could learn a lot from that discipline. And it's a discipline that I see so often small businesses just simply don't have, because they don't want to work for someone, right? They want to be their own boss. And it's
Yeah. And like I totally agree with you, because the other problem is too is like, because they don't want to have the structure or the accountability, they're not as successful as they could be, because they're
correct.
kind of like just willy-nilly stitch it together somehow
Yeah,
instead of
yeah.
having these frameworks, right?
Yeah. Look, I have been in businesses where I've been very reactive to stuff that comes in,
Mm.
and my own businesses, and it's stressful, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's stressful to be constantly reacting to stuff that's happening in your business. It's a lot easier to have a plan. It takes some time you've got to invest in your plan. But once you've got that plan, you've got that framework, it's like that vision, mission, and values stuff. You know where you're going, and it makes decision making so much easier, because decision making can be stressful if you don't know what you're basing it on. Like, if
Mm.
every single time something comes into your life or your business, you have to kind of reassess it. It's a lot of work, it's a lot of energy. You don't have to expand, because in the corporate world, they're like, is this in the plan? Is this part of the plan? Is this on mission? Yes or no? Yes, then we do it. No, then it's dropped. They don't have time for mucking around, right? They're like, it's happening or it's not.
Yeah.
But in small business, we give ourselves a lot of leave passes, because, oh, I'm only in small business, I only work for myself. Well, sorry, but if you want to be successful, you have to be accountable to yourself or your partner or to your bank manager or your clients. There's always somebody you've got to be
Yeah.
accountable to.
And I think the hardest is to be accountable to yourself if you never learned it. I heard somebody once say that if you would be your employee, you wouldn't accept the way
I know,
that,
right?
like literally you don't. Yeah. And so
I, I totally get it. And it's for me, when I procrastinate, because I'm a human being, I
Mhm.
procrastinate, and I'm very people focused, so I don't like detail. So procrastination comes very easily to me, but I have to remind myself, if I was working for somebody else, would this be acceptable? And the answer is no,
Yeah. Yeah.
because you get called out on it, or you'd be fired. I learned years ago I had to fire myself from a lot of positions in my business because I wasn't great at them. Can I give you a really great tip? One of the things that I learned years ago from one of my mentors was to get out a piece of paper and do an organizational chart of your own small business, and have every single box, from the cleaner to the IT person to the marketing person to the salesperson, have all those boxes put out there. Think of as many as you can. And then at the beginning, maybe your name is in every single one of those boxes. But over time, how many of those boxes can you fire yourself from? Because if you're best at marketing, then your return on investment is best spent there. So can you fire yourself from bookkeeping? Can you fire yourself from sales? Can you fire yourself from cleaning the office, so that you can invest more time in the marketing, which you make the most money at? Then
Hmm.
logically, if you free up your time from bookkeeping and office cleaning and sales, then you're going to spend more time on marketing. So bring people in that you can get to do those sort of roles yourself. And maybe in a small business, it might only be some small outsourcing to Fiverr or to Upworks, but start with doing some stuff that you really don't like doing. Like, I hate doing my books. When I got a bookkeeper, it was the best thing I ever did. Like, I went, wow, bookkeeper, I don't have to do that anymore. And that took that stressor away from me.
Hmm.
So I knew I had to fire myself from doing it, because I wasn't doing a good job.
Yeah, that's it. That's what happens when we're like, on the other hand, I think it's a balance. So I agree with you what you're saying. We should not do the things that we're not good at and all that. On the other hand, I think as a business owners, there's just some tasks that come with being a this
Yeah,
bit like a serious pro business owner
yeah.
that are part of it, right? And it doesn't have to, I'm not talking necessarily about bookkeeping, but we probably should still have an idea about our finances in the business.
100%. Just because somebody else does my bookkeeping doesn't mean I'm not across it. I have a monthly meeting with my bookkeeper, and I have a quarterly meeting with my accountant, and I have weekly reports. And it's if I don't want to do that, I need to fully
Yes,
understand what's going on,
exactly.
because if I don't understand what's going on and I'm not getting that information, then I'm not able to make decisions, and I'm not accountable to myself. You can't just like handball it, not look at it, right? So you're
Yeah,
perfect. You absolutely nailed it. So
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
But that's what a lot of people do, especially with finances. This is kind of like what
Yeah.
my experience is. They just
No,
don't
no,
want to have anything to do with it. And I always say like, okay, but then you shouldn't be a business owner, because then you just, in your
yeah,
private life, as long as you probably pay your taxes and your rent
yeah,
or mortgage, it's fine,
yeah,
but in a business, it's a
100%.
bit different
Yeah.
story.
Oh, look, I 100% agree with you. In finances, you need to know your numbers. I know every single day in my business where my cash flow is at. I know every single day where, what is outstanding and what's due to be coming in. If you don't know that, you can't be accountable to yourself, right? It's like,
Yeah, that's it.
would you've got to do that. You've got to know your numbers. I'm so glad you brought that up, because I didn't want people to think you can just get rid of that and never, I don't want to do the mechanics of putting in
Yeah, that's
receipts
a
and that.
different
So that's,
story.
that's, I don't want to do that, but I need to know, how much do I owe? How much do I have in my tax? I use the bucket system. So I have buckets for my tax, and I have buckets for my personal tax, and I have buckets for out bills and other things. So I know I move things into different accounts. You've got to know your stuff so you can play that properly. Otherwise, you end up, I have so many people in small business who say to me, oh my goodness, I can't pay my tax this
Yeah,
quarter. I don't have the cash. I'm like, well, why? Because you had the money coming in. If you
yeah,
played that game properly, it wouldn't be a problem, right?
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
And there's another stressor you don't need to deal with because you weren't accountable to yourself, right?
Your words in my ears. That's exactly it.
It's just unnecessary stress.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and that's the thing too. It's like that's what I often say too. Like when I help my clients, they say, "Oh, I don't want to deal with that. That's too stressful." And I'm like, "Yeah, but how stressful is it not dealing with it?"
I know,
It's like,
right?
have you ever considered that, right?
I know. Look, there have been periods in my business life where I've scraped to pay. In Australia, we call it BAS. That's like the GST or VAT. I
Hmm.
don't know what sort of
Yeah,
sales
value
tax.
added tax, VAT, or
Yeah,
something.
so
Mhm.
yeah, so I've struggled because I didn't put it aside. I spent the money because I saw the money in my account and I
Yeah,
spent
yeah,
it. It's so stressful
yeah.
the next quarter having to scrape money for that. Well, I don't like stress, so I like to get rid of it.
Yeah, exactly. So you don't like stress. I can totally see it, because I want to quickly talk also about your book. You wrote a book that's called Breathe Easy, Simple
Ah, yes,
Ways to Be Well
thank
Connected. And
you.
just the first part of the book, Breathe Easy, that tells me already that you don't like stress. It's kind of like when I say from chaos to peace, right? So how come
Yeah,
you wrote a book? How, like, when did that idea get born?
yeah. That's really interesting. I was on my way to Colombia on a holiday, and I was flying from the United States to Bogota. And during the night, I was eating, and the food started falling out of my mouth. I'm going, something's really, really wrong. And I'm like, what's going on? I thought I was having a stroke, and my
Hmm.
whole side of my face started to collapse. Anyway, we got to Bogota, and I'd had a full-on Bell's palsy, which is a facial paralysis, right? So it paralyzes the side of your face. It looks like you're a Salvador Dali painting on one side of your face. It looks like you just melted. It doesn't particularly hurt, but it's not great because you can't do a lot of stuff, and it's scary to look at. So I went to the hospital in Bogota, and through Google we worked out how the drugs that I needed to get, and my partner's a physio, so we worked on some physio stuff. And when I came back to Australia, one of the rehab things that I got suggested was to do laughter yoga. And
Hmm.
have you ever heard of laughter yoga?
Not necessarily laughter yoga, but I heard of laughter as a therapy, laughter.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. My brother
yeah,
did
it's the
once
same
also
thing.
laughter therapy. Hmm.
Yeah, it was the same thing. So I got into that, and it was great because it moves the facial muscles. And then really laughter yoga is gateway to breath work. So I
Hmm.
became really interested in breath work. So I became a certified laughter yoga instructor, a certified breath work coach, not for anyone else, but for me.
Hmm.
And people around me were saying, wow, you really are amazing. You seem so calm and relaxed. What's changed? And so many people were to ask me. I started saying, well, I'm doing, breath work and laughter yoga. And they was like, tell me more about it. And then I started doing these small group sessions with people for fun. But then more and more people started to come and they started asking me and I started getting invited to do it. And then I realized I created a whole other job for myself that I wasn't planning. And this was going to be, this is my little hobby. And it became a job. And I went, this is not how I want to spend my days. I'm happy to help people. So I thought, what's the best way? I'll write a book. And for those of you people that can't see me because they're on the audio only, I'm a man in my late 50s. I'm a business person, so I look a certain way, and people look at me and they attach a certain credibility to that sort of look. And when I talk about breath work, they're like, oh, if he can do it, I can do it, right? So it's not scary. They don't see him. I'm not confronting. I'm not a 20-year-old dude sitting on a mountain in India type of thing. I'm like them. So I wrote the book specifically for business people because I knew that it was an easy way for business people to learn how to really reconnect to themselves and remove the constant stressors that are coming to us every day, and just give them some simple tools. My book is really simple. It's not about, holding your breath underwater for 5 minutes. That's not my thing, whatever, knock yourself out. But it's really just simple. There's breathing to lift yourself up, breathing to balance yourself, and breathing to calm you. So it's 3 types of breathing. And I really teach a few exercises in each of that. I explain what's going on in breathing, because most people don't realize that you've got to breathe with your diaphragm, which is like a big jellyfish that sits around the middle of us. So that sort of moves up and down like a jellyfish. And when people get that, they go, oh, I've been breathing in my chest. That's stressful, breathing in your chest. So, and I loved writing that book. And so many people I give that book to, or who buy it, tell me, oh my goodness, it's the simplest thing, but it makes such a big difference.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because life doesn't have to be complicated, right?
Exactly. And it is so crazy. Like some people are just brushing it off and say, yeah, breathing. But we're all like in today's world, we're really all breathing incomplete. Let's say like that. I don't want to say wrong, but incomplete, because I noticed too, is like we sometimes only breathe shallow, only like to the chest, and then not all the way out either, which is kind of both stressful also for the body, not just for us, but for the body. It doesn't get enough oxygen.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world these days that makes that the norm. It's so like sitting in front of computers, people hold their breath for a really long time, or people are on apps or they're playing games and they tend to hold their breath. And there are 3 parts to breathing. There's sort of the belly breathing, the diaphragmatic breathing, there's the chest breathing, and then there's the upper chest, the ancillary muscles. And really the only time you need to use those is if you've just done a run and you need to really expand and get the air into your lungs. Most of the time you really are just breathing with your diaphragm, sometimes with your chest. So most of us breathe up in our chest or our upper shoulders, because you see people's shoulders moving when they're breathing like that. So that is a stress response, right? So our brain sees you breathing like this all the time, or gasping for breath when you hold it and you lift your shoulders up, and you're telling your vagus nerve, oh, I'm stressed. And the vagus nerve is this thing that runs through your body, and it regulates our, calming fight or flight response, and really tells us whether we've got to be alert or whether we can be calm. And when it's constantly on alert, this low level anxiety creeps into our lives. And in business, you see, I watch so many people sitting in business meetings and they breathe high up in their body and they're stressed. And the other thing that's really a big challenge these days is people wear really tight clothes and they suck their stomach in because they want to look pretty. I mean, it's bonkers. But when I learned that it's okay to move your stomach in and out, you need to have a little bit of room in your pants to do that. But we don't. We wear these ridiculous tight pants, and you can't do that, because it's actually restricting boys these days, a lot of young men these days wear really super, super tight shirts. They suck their stomach in and it's forcing the air into their upper chest. It's basically saying, I'm stressed all the time. It's crazy.
Yeah. But so So what comes to my mind now, my mind makes funny jumps. So what comes to my mind is now we're circling back to marketing, because that's all what marketing is, or they tell us, and to the men as much as to the women, we all need flat bellies. That's
Yes.
the ideal, right? We all need flat. Just you can't believe how many times when I'm on a social media like Facebook or Instagram that I get all these ads for, oh, you're in your 50s, you have too big of a belly, you need now to work so that you don't have a belly. And then we grew up already like that, so we automatically kind of start to hold the belly in, because we
Yeah,
think,
I
oh,
know,
we need
right?
a flat belly, right? So unhealthy and stressful. And yeah, so but
Yeah,
we're back to marketing, because that's basically where it comes from. These are some
yeah,
companies
100%.
that want to sell you something, and they're really good in marketing. Maybe they learned from you, who knows? But
Because what they're doing is they're creating fear, and
hmm
fear is what marketers love. If you create fear
yeah,
for somebody, and my problem solves your fear, my product solves your fear, then that's the best way
exactly.
to sell stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. This is the perfect segue to my next question. I wanted to ask you too, since you are such a marketing expert, what is the hottest trend in marketing right now? But
Yeah.
also, I want to know from you too, is it worth jumping on the train, or is it short-lived? Like, should we even bother? Because it could be exactly something like this that is just trying to scare people. And I personally, I don't want to scare my clients. I want to help them. So,
Yeah, look, I agree with you. Look, the hottest thing in marketing at the moment is personalization in marketing. It
mm,
is happening in a way that uh, I've been in marketing for a long time, and I've never seen a trend move so quickly. But I worked in telco in the late 90s, and we thought then that we were going to be able to personalize our marketing, and we thought we were cutting edge then. Well, what we're doing in the last few years is next level. It's gone so much towards personalized marketing. And, you know, people in your audience might be saying, well, what is that? So it's an ability to actually really understand your customer
mhm.
and to tailor your communications directly to the problem that they are having. Because, right, I said before that every business solves a problem. So if you have this problem, the company can market directly to the problem that you're having. And you can do that in several ways. So AI can pick up, or our data is out there. So as soon as you're on social media, it knows what your issues are. You talked about that flat stomach thing. So the more you look at those flat stomach ads and the more you spend time staring at it, like, it knows you're looking at it. You don't even have to click on it. It knows you're
Mhm.
looking at it, right?
Mhm.
So it will go, oh, Connie's interested in a flat stomach, whether you are or aren't, irrelevant. It will think that, and then it will serve up ads in your social media. So that's one way it can happen. Another way is that when people are on mailing lists, it can really look at your buying behavior and your customer habits and really serve up stuff that is relevant for you. So, for example, if you you buy stuff from a company, like I have a tea company I buy stuff from, and it knows what I like. When there's a special on that, it sends me an email telling me, hey, Braith, there's a special on licorice legs this week, 2 bags for the price of 1. Do you want some? And I go, yes, because I know that that's what I want. And I know I'm going to save money,
Yeah.
and I love it. But had they not directed that to me, I wouldn't have known. And maybe I might have gone until my tea ran out. And then, my tea's run out. And then I might go and get a different brand.
Mhm.
So it's a way of really making sure that they're in touch with what we need. And what I'm doing now, which I love, is I use this product called SendSpark, which is an app, or not an app, it's an extension on Chrome, where
Mhm.
instead of sending emails, I respond to people with video, personalized videos. So I would say, hey, Connie, great to see you today. As per our conversation, we need to follow up on X, Y, Z. And it drops into the email, and there's a little talking head of me there. So instead of it looking like a little connection, which might look like a spam mail, you can tell it's me talking, right? So you're going
Mhm.
to open it because you know it's really me. And people are using that in their direct mail and direct marketing, and they're getting really amazing responses, because nowadays we get so many emails. You see Connie sends you a personalized email, you are opening that. And finally, the thing that I'm loving at the moment, we're going back to the future, handwritten and created cards and print is back, and they're addressing it to us individually. And it's really cool because you are opening something that comes in the mail these days. Because 20 years ago, you get a lot of stuff in the mail, half of it went to the bin. Now you get, like, I don't know about you, but I'm lucky if I get 1 letter a week. Now if somebody sends me something, I'm opening it. I'm like, wow, somebody sent something to my name, I'm opening it. And if it doesn't look like a bill, I'm really excited about it. And if Connie sends me something, hey Braith, I'm doing this new amazing program, I'd love you to have a look at it. But my favorite one, and coming back to what we talked about before, is gratitude marketing. So thanking people for their business, and the card and the letter is the best way to do that. And you can use companies to bulk do it for you. So you're not actually handwriting it. AI can actually handwrite it. It looks like it's handwritten. It's cheap, but you and I can't tell it's not handwritten. But these machines, there's thousands of them in a row, and they just sort of write like it's handwritten, and you get that in the mail. How cool is it when a company you're doing business with sends you a thank you email? It might cost you a total of $2 or $3, and you've sent somebody something personalized. You are a customer for life with that, right? Because you like, it rocks your world.
Yeah.
I just gave away all the marketing secrets. Everyone thinks that they're getting personal letters in the mail, but I'm sorry to tell you, it's all written by computers.
Yes. Yeah. But and then then people need to hire me because they can't get rid of these thank you notes and have paper clutter. No.
Yes, I must hire you, Connie.
No, but it's it's interesting. So the personalization, I wasn't sure what you would be saying when I asked you this question, what the hardest thing is, but I notice it myself too. And it is, I think in one way, it's really nice. Like I really appreciate when I get notified when they know that I'm interested in something. On the other hand, it's sometimes a little freaky almost. Like I swear my phone listens to me because I made once a comment to some friend about something and I forgot now what it was, but literally half an hour later it comes through my Facebook feed an ad for exactly that thing, and I never wrote it down anywhere. I didn't look at the product, so I'm swearing my phone listens to me to hear what I like and then gives it to companies.
Yeah, all that data, those companies, all those social media companies, all the companies, your supermarket, when you swipe your loyalty card, all of that is data. They sell that stuff. The phone sells that stuff. I don't know how it works, but they're selling your information to people to market to you. So I am very much of the opinion, yes, it is scary, but it's here to stay. So you either accept it and go with the flow, or you get anxious about it, but it's not going to go away. So just work with it.
Yeah. So how would you then suggest that, like, to come around to the networking and creating connection, how would you suggest that a small business owner, like my listeners are mostly small business owners, as far as I know, I stalk them too. We all do, right? No, I make use of the information that I get from my podcast platform. But yeah, in a way,
you're doing personalized marketing, aren't you? Right?
Yeah, exactly. But so how would you suggest that somebody with a small business or a micro business starts to implement that in a small step, like what we were just talking about, like connecting, giving, serving, and personalization, other than what you mentioned already with gratitude letters or videos? Like I heard that from a lot of people.
Yeah, look, the first thing that any business has to do is be really clear about who they want to do business with and why. Because if you don't know who you want to do business with and why, no one is going to be able to help you. So you've got to be on that train first. So you really need to understand that. So you've got to spend some time looking at what it is that you want in your business and why. And if you can't articulate that, you need to spend some time really looking at it in a deep level. And whatever you do, don't start with anyone, somebody, or everyone. Everyone who needs a new, anyone who needs a new, or it's just because it means nothing, because as soon as you say that, the brain turns off. So be very specific. I'm looking for business owners between the ages of 50 and 60 who have, $1 million turnover or more, whatever it is you want, get really specific and create an avatar almost like a person, so you know who you want to do business with. And then invest some time in your network. So people often say, I don't have a network. We all have networks. Sometimes they're not formal networks, and it's totally fine. So, your friends from university, that's a network. If you're a mum with kids at school, that's a network. If you are in a sporting club, that's a network. If you're in a religious organization, that's a network. If you're in a speaking group like Toastmasters, that's a network. A service club like Rotary, that's a network. So they're all networks. So invest time getting to know people and say this to them: how can I help you? That's the magic word. How can I help you? And first of all, people are going to be like, oh, I don't know. So just keep saying, can I connect you to anyone? What are you looking for in your business? Tell me about what's going on in your business. What's the biggest challenge you have in your business right now? Because when people start telling you about their challenges, you can say, oh, I know somebody that can help you with that. And then you start connecting them. And when you do that, they're going to go, oh, he really helped me. I'm going to have to do something nice for Braith. That's kind of the way it works. But if you don't have a lot of a big network, start going to some local networking events through your Chamber of Commerce, through your, I don't know what you call them in Canada, through the council.
No, Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah, so local municipal organizations. Meetup is amazing. And always remember this, because people get scared about going to these events. Everyone that is going to one of these events is there because they want to network. So there's nothing to be scared of. Yeah. So and you can walk in there and go, this is the first time I've been in here. I'm really nervous. What's going to go on tonight? And then people will take you under their wing. So, I know it seems like I'm very gregarious and out there, but, this is learned. I actually had to learn how to do this. So we can all learn how to do this. So start small and then build up. And as you grow that muscle, it will become stronger and stronger and stronger. Just start with meeting one person that you can have a coffee with and get to know them. Simple.
Yeah. Yeah. Really simple. And I'm sure you have more tips on your website or on your platform that you want to brag a little bit, where people can find you. What's your preferred social media platform? What's your website? What you offer?
Cool. Thank you. Well, for those people starting out in their referral generation business, I have a really cool free little mini course. It takes about an hour plus a little bit of time for homework. It's called 3 Steps to Get Your Business Referral Ready Today. It's a really cool way of people getting their head together about what they need to do to become referral ready and how to start investing in a network. There's lots of other free stuff on there. I love giving away free stuff because, I have a really great business and I like to share that information as much as possible. So my website is Braith Bamkin, BraithBamkin.com. And all the stuff's in there. I know a lot of people have been booking me for virtual webinars around the world, which is so cool. I love doing that. So yeah, happy to people to reach out and book me onto their virtuals, or you can fly me anywhere around the world. I'm happy to be flown.
Same here. I want to be flown to Melbourne.
Conny and Braith want to be flown anywhere around the world, and and we'd like business class, of course, wouldn't we?
Exactly. Yeah. So it was really great to have you. So before we wrap up, do you have any last words, or did I not ask you something that you actually expected me to ask, or do you think that would still need to be said, so to make this a round conversation?
You're a great interviewer. I just want to leave your audience with one thing, and that is to breathe into your diaphragm, because if you pause in your life and your business and just give yourself a minute or two of space every now and then, everything in your business and your life just becomes a little bit easier.
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful, Braith. Thank you so much for coming on my podcast, making me laugh and sharing your...
I told you I'd be fun. Yeah. Did I live up to that?
Yeah, so anytime I need a laugh, I'm just inviting you back onto my podcast, right?
Thanks, Connie. I love it.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.